we are discussing Java collection framework. A brief introduction to the Java collection framework we have already learned in the last video, and you can recall that there are so many what is called the facilities for the management of different type of data structure. So, today we will take a quick tour to the whole stock of collection framework, as it is vast. So, we should discuss this topic in 3 more video lectures. So, today we will start some part. Today actually we will discuss about the basic composition of Java collection framework. Composition means it includes a large set of interfaces and classes. Today we will discuss few important interfaces, and other interfaces will be discussed in the next video lectures. Other than these interfaces, there are certain classes also. Those are the main things in the collection framework. In order to know the classes, basically we are to be familiarized with the constructors and methods in each classes. Now, the understanding of all those concepts, that means what are the different interfaces and classes, are very much important for any programmer. So, we have to invest our time to understand these things, and as you will see, there is no programming at the moment while I will discuss this collection framework, rather constituents of the collection framework. Programming and everything will be discussed when we will discuss the different data structures in due time. Okay, so first let us discuss about the basic composition of collection framework. Now, collection actually, as we are terming the concept collection, actually collection means it is basically is a group of data. Now, so group of data, how it can be stored, depending on that the different structures are known. For an example, array. So, array stores a set of data, and in a specific it follows certain principle. So, that is why array. However, the same principle is not followed in another collection, that is called the linked list. So, every data structure, whether it is array or linked list, or it is a stack or a queue, or in our conventional concept it is set, they have their own policies to store and also their own policy to perform certain operation on the elements, those are belong to the collection. So, interface and classes, those are going to discussed in this lecture, basically provides the facilities that how a particular type of collection can be maintained, can be managed. Now, overall the collection is, as we told you, that collection is a very vast thing. This is vast because it covers so many data structures in one bundle. To understand the different facilities, so Java provides the concept of interface. As you know, interface is basically is a template for certain basically implementation. So, interface contains declaration of many fields or methods, but body of the methods are not there. So, interface gives simple a highlights about what are the methods, what these methods return, if you want to call this method, what should be the argument, and so many things. In fact, whatever the interfaces are there, they needs to be implemented. Implemented means all the methods those are declared there, they are to be defined. In Java collection framework, all classes basically implements all the interfaces those are there. Now, all these classes basically plan to cater to need of a particular data structure. Okay, so actually all the interfaces again can be categorized to give certain declaration of different functionalities or methods for different data structure like set, list, queue, dequeue, array or whatever it is. Similarly, the classes which basically implements all those interfaces are there to give the full what is called the life or safe to the facilities. So, they are basically cater to the need of arrays, namely array list class, vectors, linked list, priority queue, linked hash sets, tree sets and so many things are there. Now, overall story really is very complicated and there are certain class hierarchy, the taxonomy of the classes which basically Java collection framework follows. Now, as we see this figure, in this figure we see lot of interfaces which are represented by this kind of relationship among them. Class collection is basically the super interface basically. So, here actually we see collection inherits list inherits collection, queue inherits list as well as collection, dequeue is basically inherited from the queue interface like this one. So, interfaces are there, follow the same concept as class except that interface contains method without body in them. Now, all those interfaces are implemented with several classes. Some classes are abstract classes, they are like interfaces, but they are abstract. On the other hand, there are certain classes basically implements all these interface. For example, here linked list is a class which implements queue is a interface and so on. So, here basically which are the interfaces and which are the different classes is shown in one view actually. Now, in this lecture we will discuss all these things and in the next lecture the next part of the things will be discussed. Now, so these are the basically called a collection framework. Collection framework consists of this kind of things and these things are there. So, today now let us discuss about first the collection framework which includes the few interfaces in it. Now, let us see what are the interfaces are there in the collection. This table shows altogether all interfaces those are there in Java collection framework. As you see in the list, these are the basically interfaces: list, queue, dequeue, set, sorted set, navigable set, and then collection is basically the super interface we can say. Now, what these collections are? Again I repeat, all these collections declares certain methods. These methods are basically the functionalities that can be applied to many structured data structure, that is the concept. For example, list interface is basically includes all the methods that you can have while you write your program to maintain list data structure, like say linked list sort of thing. Similarly, queue, dequeue, etc. So, these are the interface. Now, I will just quickly summarize different methods those are there, because understanding of all those methods really matters for the programmers. So, it may be a bit boring to know, but if you little bit hold your patience and go through these things, it really give lot of things to your learning process. So, I should advise you to take a patience, hold your patience and then check whatever the methods are there. Although in this video of a short duration, I will try to quickly give you, because we have to cover so many things are there. Now, let us first consider the collection interface. Collection is the main or super, we can say, it is the top of all interfaces. It basically represents a collection of any type. So, that is why this collection is basically a generic like. So, TE is basically any type. Any type means if you want to store in your collection integer type of data. So, this T will be integer or double or string. If you want to store the collection of records of type student, then T can be student or book or person, like this. So, this basically this one. So, this is the idea about the interface, that is the collection, and let us see what are the methods are there in this collection interface. There are many methods in fact, and again one thing you should note that interface does not have any constructors, only the methods, because interface cannot be used to create any object. That is why no constructor is there in the interface. Anyway, methods are there. Now, what are the methods? Many methods. I just highlight few methods, and all the methods have their brief description in the right side of the column. So, if you want to know details about any methods, you should study the description, read the description, those are provided, and we will discuss all these methods and utilization with example, programs and everything, but not now in this video, in this lecture class. It will be discussed later on. Now, here we can see the first method. I will try to give a only few methods discuss in details, but not all methods, because it will really take enough time, because a lot of interfaces are to be covered. Now, here the method, one method is called add method. What is the meaning of this method? This method means that it has an argument of a template type, any type of object. So, if you want to add an integer to a collection integers, then you can use it. So, add method, as the name implies, it basically to add one element into a collection. Similarly, add all, and you can see the argument is a collection. So, if we pass a collection to this method, then all the elements which are there in this collection will be added to the existing collection. If the addition is not possible, then it will return false. If addition is successful, it will return true. So, that is why return concept is there. Now, again let us see clear. As the method implies, if we call the clear method for a collection, let us say collection is x, and if we call this method clear x dot clear, what will happen? All the elements which are there in the collection x will be removed forever. So, clear is one method. Now, contents and argument is an object, that means it will search if a particular element obj is there in the existing collection or not. If it is present, it return true. If it is not present, it return false. Contents all like contents only search, but a collection, that means you give the input that a set of elements, it will search the collection if those elements are there in the existing collection or not. If it is there, return true. If it is not there, return false. And here the collection that you passed and the collection it is there, not necessarily the same sequence or same order, in any order, it will search one by one and then check if all presents there or not. So, these are the methods are simply in a understandable form. So, if you read the method and then description of each method, you will be able to understand what this method is doing. There are few more methods in this collection which I have mentioned here in this list. The equals method is basically check whether the existing collection and then the argument that we have passed, or equals means if any object is present in this collection, it is basically there. Hash code is concept we will discuss in details later on. Basically it gives a code for a particular set or a particular element. Is empty, as the name implies, is basically check whether the collection presently contains any elements or it is empty. Iterator is the one method which we shall use in details when we will discuss with programming examples that how to traverse a collection one by one. So, it is basically scanning or visiting the entire collection. Now, stream basically is a collection which will basically return a sequence of objects in the form of a stream. Stream is the one concept that is there in the Java, and this basically returns stream. Remove is just like a clean, but it is remove means a particular object if you want to remove from the existing collection. Remove all, whatever the elements it is there, if it is present there, it will remove all those elements. Remove if certain condition is satisfied, then only it will remove. So, given under a predicate, it will remove. Retain all, collection C, it will basically remove all the elements except those elements are mentioned in the input. So, it is the method. So, these are the methods are there. Every method has its own functionalities, and those functionalities is basically better can be understood if we run a small program calling each method for a given collection, then seeing the output. All those things we will do when we will discuss a specific data structure in our run actually. Now, so these are the few methods. There are few more methods in this interface which includes here one important method that you can check it. The iterator, split iterator like stream is also another form of the stream. Now, this method is very important. This method is called the bulk operation. What is the meaning? Meaning is that if you want to copy the existing collection into an array. So, if you want to store the collection, now existing collection can be linked list, can be tree, can be in the form of a other hash set or whatever it is there, and it basically convert the existing collection whatever it is in the present form to store into an array form. Sometimes array is compatible for many programmers, they want to have this collection in the form of an array. So, it basically represents this one. It is also same thing. It is basically the array means which collection you want to copy into another array. If you pass it, it will, this is basically a static method loop and it will work like. So, these are the different methods, those are there in collection, and all those methods should be implemented by certain classes corresponding to a particular data structure that this class is meant for. So, this is the concept actually, it is followed in Java collection framework composition. Now, let us come to the discussion of interface list. You will be able to see what are the different methods are declared there in the list of interface. Interface list is basically another form of collection, another way that a group of element will be stored is a list form. Now, that is definitely different from other form, array form like this one. Now, it also mean for storing any type of collection, any type of element. So, that is why template. So, it is basically an interface and this is the name of the interface list, and the type of element that it can hold is basically template. That means, it can store any type of data, integer, double, float, string or any user defined data, it is there. Now, let us see what are the different methods are declared there in the list interface. It is basically very similar to the methods, those are there. There are many name of the methods will be very same as the collection, because it is in a way collection extends or list basically list extends collection interface. So, all the methods are there, but it is basically overriding method, because depending on the different structure the method are to be defined accordingly. That is why name of the method may be same, but the way how it can insert is totally different. But this method how actually it insert, it not need to be worried by the programmer. Programmer should not bother about it. Programmer only should know that if I want to maintain a structure according to this form, then I should call this method for this form and it will work for you, that is all. Now, like this the add method, as you see add, here one thing index, that means if you want to add one element. So, this is the element in a particular position, the index is the position. So, it is index start from 0 to highest value. If it is not able to add it, it will not do anything, but if it can add it, simply add it, and it does not return anything. That is the thing is there. Add all, basically start index and then argument is their collection. So, if you give the set of elements as an input and call this method and index is another. So, it will add all the elements at this location from there, and then get method is just opposite to add method. It basically returns a particular objects or elements which is present at a particular location. Index is the location, index of object. So, that means if you pass as an input an object, and it will basically check the array, check the list, and it basically gives in which location that object is present or that element is present. So, index of basically says that if the element present in which location it presents are there, and last index of, as the name implies, it basically in the list it will basically indicates in which location the last element is present, and then object obj means the list may contains duplicate element. So, object obj indicates the last index of is basically the last occurrence of the elements. So, there are few more methods in the list which are again included here. So, this method is basically iterator, that means for traveling. Remove method is basically removing a particular elements from a particular location, it returns the elements removed. And replace all, it is basically indicates that all the elements of the current type will be replaced by a particular elements. Set is basically same thing as basically replace like, but it is in a particular elements, a particular object will be inserted actually. And this is the one method, the sort. If you want to sort all the elements in an order, it is applicable for the numeric type data. So, it is basically essentially is a sorting method actually. And sublist is basically is a part of a list, and then this part will starting from a particular location to end. So, if the elements present there satisfying the start and end, it will basically return a particular portion of that list. So, this is the different methods, those are there in the interface, and we will be able to use all those methods when we will discuss list data structure, namely the linked list data structure for example. So, this is the list interface. Likewise, list queue is the one another structure. Queue is a specific or is a special data structure which allows only to insert one end and delete it another end. So, it is called the insert at the rear position and delete from the front position. So, there are two end actually, one is the front and another is the end. So, insertion will takes place at the rear position and deletion will takes place at the front position. So, this concept is there, and then so this basically the in order to maintain a list there are different methods are declared, and that methods are declared in the queue interface. Now, queue likewise the other classes that we have, other interfaces that we have discussed, it also allows you to store any type of objects. So, that is why it is a template. Now, the methods those are there. Let us have a quick look of the methods. So, this basically one method is called the elements. It basically return you the elements at the front of the queue. Offer is the one method which basically allow to add one elements into the queue. Pick is the basically one element which will just return the element at the front, but this element will just read, not remove. Poll is the one element which basically remove as well as return the element which is at the front. And then remove is the one method. Remove is basically remove the head, basically same as pole sort of thing. It will basically return the elements after removal, and obviously all those methods return some exception if the queue is empty. So, these are the methods are defined there in the interface queue, and the DQ is another method. It is like queue. The difference is that it basically double ended. Insertion and deletion, unlike queue, can be done at any ends. For example, in case of queue, deletion is possible from one end, insertion is another end, but here you can do at any end actually. So, both the ended, that is why it is called the double ended queue. So, this has more what is called the flexibility to add many insertion and deletion operation at the both end like. Now, these are the like queue, other list, they also allow you to store any type of collection. So, that is why the template, and these are many methods similar to the name of the method. All the methods are basically to add and remove or check whether it is empty or it basically return a part of the list, and all these things are there. Only thing is that it specifies some methods to add in either first as a first element or last element, or it is add any position, all those things are there. For example, add first, add last, and then get first, get last. Offer first is basically adding again, offer last. So, pick first means just read only, not remove. So, these are the different methods are there, like the other methods. It is basically for insertion, deletion and traversal, all these things are there. Now, what I want to mention here is that all the interface, depending on the particular type of collection, the main operation those are required in order to maintain a particular collection is basically adding element, removing element, searching element, sorting element, traversing element, and then check that whether collection contains some elements or it is empty or this kind of. So, those are called the status operation, and there are also some methods for the bulk operation is also there. Now, interface set is another group of collection which we will discuss in the next video. I just want to mention the different classes. As we have already mentioned, these are the different classes are there. All these classes better can be understood while we discuss a corresponding data structure. For example, here array list is the class to deal with array, linked list is the class to deal with the linked list concept in data structure. Priority queue is basically data structure related to the queue operation. Array DQ is basically representing the queue in the form of an array, but restriction that insertion and deletion can be done only at the end, not from the middle like. So, these are the different what is called the classes are declared, and we shall discuss all these classes as a data structure point of view, and then their implementation, and then how all this Java collection framework using Java collection framework they can be managed. So, these collections actually that we are going to discuss have many collection classes actually, all those classes, therefore, I can keep hold right now, we will not discuss at the moment. Now, overall the different data structures those are suitable for different different storing and retrieving. They can be categorized into this kind of form, either indexed or sequential. The array list class, which basically is an index type to maintain an array of elements. The linked list is a sequential type, that means it is a sequential form. Array list is an indexed form. Now, this array DQ is again another indexed representation, and priority queue follow the sequential representation. So, these are the different classes, those are basically related to the data structure for certain type of collection, and all those collection basically handled by corresponding classes in the those are defined there in the collection framework. There means their methods and everything are defined. Their methods are everything defined according to the declaration that we have learned so far their interface is concerned. For example, linked list basically implements all the methods those are there in the interface queue or interface list like. So, these are the different classes that we will obviously discuss in details when a particular data structure will be discussed. And regarding the details story about different structure and the different classes, different interfaces, you can consult the Oracle documents. This is a tutorial form. It is very nice one, but it is very exhaustive. Usually it is good for advanced programmer. For the beginners, those are new to this concept, I should suggest them to consult this link. This link contains very easy and understandable manner of all the classes, along with some example illustrating how the different methods defined in different classes can be used to perform certain operation. However, we shall discuss all these things in details throughout the course. So, this is just a quick view of the collection framework, a part. Next part will be discussed in the next lecture. This is regarding set. Set includes similar kind of interfaces and many classes there, their utilities and others. Okay, thank you.